Once again, the intro music almost cracked the guest off.
What?
And now that's not Greg chuckling. I know we've gotten a lot of letters about that. But hey, Greg.
Hey, you can't say that.
But,
Hi, guest. And who you be?
And wait, hey, it's my thing. Dude. My hands are literally on fire being so close to this talent.
I get a little over anxious sometimes.
And I'm not only are my hands on fire being close to this talent plug, but I'm getting butterflies because this talent. I mean, that's what she is, a true artist. I would call her music sort of ethereal. Maybe she'll say I'm wrong or I'm just, but. It's something where it's a cornucopia of all these things you've heard, but she makes it her own, and we're very thrilled to have Sally Louise on, eh?
Yay! Thank you for having me.
Notice I got the good puns in about your album.
I know, gosh, but I can't pay someone to do that. That's great.
So how long did it take you to come here from Oregon?
Oh,
how did you know that? It's actually, you stole my question. I was gonna.
How long did it take?
You did research.
They know way too much. They know way too much about me.
I'm sure. Wait a second. You did research.
No, I was talking to her earlier. I do my prep.
Oh, you're like one of those faith healers who has people on. It's like, oh, well, what's bothering you? Oh, I can really walk. I'm in a wheelchair. Oh, you're gonna walk.
Yeah, no, it took 24, 25 years to get to Rochester.
See, we book in advance, folks, so you really got a plan to be on this show.
What brought you to our somewhat semi-fair city, semi-happy valley?
Yeah, semi-happy valley. That sounds very dirty.
You know what that's from, right?
Yeah,
you're a little too young.
Well,
right?
I have parents, sure. Sure, I'll say yes. No, I came out here because I was pursuing opera, and I started my grad degree at Eastman after doing it for about 10 years. Kept putting it off. And then finally got my arm twisted enough times to be like, you need to go to grad school. And so I applied, and it's kind of a pipe dream. Got into, this school is very prestigious, has very limited spots. So I came here for that about 3 years ago. And then a year later, not even, I dropped out. I just decided it wasn't for me anymore and went on to start figuring out what I'm doing now, which is my full-time job, which is crazy to say that now, which I love. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like
Eastman is a challenging place. You have to really. It's kind of cultish, if I can use that word.
I always think there's different.
It's a strong word, but it's a good word.
This is my own view. Like how I've done stuff and dabbled in things. Is that some people they're good. They need teaching and they want something structured, but however you use to get to that end is like the individual.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better for somebody who just does not fit in that mold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to I'm just speaking on my personal experience, right? I can't
we
put
have
that down on anyone
RPO
else's.
people on.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I gotta say, classical music is a very distinct, has a distinct path as far as musicians go. Most musicians just kind of wing it and figure their way, but in classical music, that's the most straightforward path as an artist that you could potentially go. It's the most straightforward, similar to I want to be a doctor, so I'm going to go to school and then to med school and then to residency, then internship, and then I'm a doctor.
And I remember,
classical music is very similar to that.
I remember one of the things some places in grad school.
They take it very seriously.
Yeah.
And the thing in grad school was you would try to get in some of these classes and you had to take the one before.
Yeah.
So everybody, so you couldn't get in, so you couldn't take the upper one.
God. Yeah, so I don't know. It's very much, the thing that really bugged me was not the singing itself. I will say though, it was so, everyone there is just very critical. You're paying people to critique you all the time, which is part of the deal. But the other part I felt that I was really unhappy with was I felt like I was paying to people please. Everyone had a different opinion. Everyone thought that an artist should be a certain way, and I never fit that mold.
Actually discouraged.
It's amazing
people.
they have a jazz program. It took them years to get a jazz program.
And I would think that's almost, and I'm probably totally wrong, but that's almost the opposite of classical, because classical, it's like a structure. You're telling a story. The end hits the beginning, it sort of goes, and jazz is freeform.
Yeah, which is hilarious that they make it academic now.
Right.
Considering it's origins. I don't know.
We're much more like jazz than classical.
Well, that's why I went to Nazareth, suffice it to say.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I would do? I had some friends, and we want to really study classical music. I'm like, cool. Oh, you want to watch a movie with me? Here, we'll watch Whiplash.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
We'll watch the Whiplash.
You know, I've
That's no
stayed away
jazz
from that
education.
movie just because I just don't want to see
Every
a
musician
mean
friend
drum
hate,
teacher.
and actually Kyle Vock was the one who said he critiqued it for him, and he said like, okay, number one, that guy would have got canned.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But number two,
Oh,
like
yeah.
he said, nobody would ever do that, like in a show where they purposely try to screw you up or anything else.
Oh, there are probably
Now,
some
Charlie,
sadistic teachers.
well,
out
Charlie
there.
I
Mingus
had a
came.
couple of them. Not at Eastman before. I had a couple.
Charlie
of ones.
Mingus came after some guy with an axe, I guess.
Wow.
God.
There's
Oh,
Charlie
God.
Mingus.
Yeah, well, Mingus was an
So let me
interesting
ask you a
character.
quick question, and,
Yeah.
then I'll let Rob spiel on, because I just have a couple of...
Yeah.
So, the opera background,
Mm-hmm.
how do you find... Did that prep you better? Not at all? Or completely different animal than soloing or playing in a band? Or do you feel that the ensemble thing is about the same? Or what? Anything?
Yeah, okay. Well, I will say, like, having a classical music background, just, like, no, if you can know something deeply and thoroughly, you're going to have a better appreciation for it. You're
Right.
going to be more well-versed in it. You're going to just be able to be a better musician, period. You'll, like, understand the why behind it. And I will say, as far as, like, classical music goes, specifically classical vocal music, like, being in auditions and these high-stakes, high-pressure scenarios as a vocalist where, like, you are intrinsically tied to your instrument emotionally and
Right.
mentally and all that stuff, and you're very stressed out, you are really cool under pressure, and you learn how to basically brand yourself, or you're able to brand yourself better than, I guess, a lot of singer-songwriters out there, or other, doesn't matter what genre of, like, some sort of popular music besides classical.
He loves Billie Eilish. So.
Like,
That's our joke here. That's our joke.
well, it's like,
She's an anomaly. I don't
an anomaly.
understand
My
the rise
favorite
to
thing is
fame.
like
Okay?
everybody mistakes me for Taylor Swift because we share the same birth date.
there you go, December 13th. But
Right.
I will
Continue.
say, I know.
Wow,
it's
you
like
knew
a-
my birthday. You're
Oh,
psychic.
yeah, I'm psychic. I will say that being able to present yourself with that professionalism, and then, like, adding that extra, like, freedom after you've, like, gotten out of the classical world of being like, this is myself too. You're able to dial in, like, how to be cool under pressure, how to present yourself well, and be more authentic while still, like, creating a very, like, approachable brand, I guess,
Yeah,
of an
makes
artist.
sense.
It's just
Sounds
like, it
like
makes sense.
somebody who takes Bio 101 after working with E.O. Wilson for 10 years. Like, you can have that experience. Because I've always said,
No,
like...
I know what she's talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And I get it, because I always said, like I would talk about reading Ulysses by Joyce, and I said, unless you're like 30 or above, you've read The Wasteland, you've read all these things, the Iliad, the Odyssey,
yeah, the whole thing, all
where
the
you come
classics.
the different way, because a lot of ways I've always thought, like, music progresses itself. I used to call them gateway drugs. You would start off,
I have a
way.
story
Nick
about
Lowe,
that.
like
Yeah,
Nick
no, it's
Lowe, because for me, I always said, because Nick Lowe was accessible, but he's pop, but he's punk.
Yeah.
And my big thing was I had a brother who played in a band, and he always, like, the first thing I ever heard for classical was Masagorsky, Pictures at an Exhibition. And so I was exposed young, and then I read Lives of the Great Composers,
Yeah.
which is a great book. Besides knowing they're all lunatics about, except for Handel, and I
I
think
think what's funny is some of those letters have been set to music by a guy named Dominic Argento, who I believe is actually an Eastman alum.
oh,
But funny story, kind of in this vein. When you say it's the gateway drug, like I started, I know, right? Yeah, I started doing. Yeah, we're not talking about shrooms, y'all. We're talking about like when I was in high school. So I did a lot of instruments growing up. My parents wanted me to be like a very well-rounded person, so they said, like, pick an instrument. We'll take you, give you lessons, and so I did like violin, and then I was like, that instrument's too high strung. Ha ha ha.
you both.
Nice.
You want to co-host?
No, yeah, I'll co-host. Oh yeah, give me that mic. But and piano and guitar and whatnot, and like I just tried like different instruments, and eventually really, really wanted to do voice. And I always loved to make up songs with my friends and like actually write. So I've been doing it for a long time, writing a lot of bad songs for a long time.
No.
But like the gateway drug for me with voice specifically was musical theater. I wanted to be on Broadway, that whole thing.
Right.
And as a kid from rural Oregon, it was like, wow, New York, oh my god.
Yep.
And so
That's a question I have to ask now. Where are you actually from in Oregon?
Bend, Oregon. It's like Oregon is a square, and you have the mountains just like to the west of center, and then
Do you know
Bend
anything
is right
about
on the east.
Portland?
Yeah, it's not it's like my least favorite place.
But the only question. No, it's
can't.
funny. This is the reason I ask. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I've had friends who moved there.
It's like a mythical land to
I've
me.
had but I've had friends who moved there who said it's like Rochester Part 2. Is it or no? Not at all.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
See,
I feel
I've
like
heard
it's
that from people.
It's strange in a way. I'm like, y'all are... When they say keep Portland weird, they really fucking mean it.
Not like Austin,
they
like
really
Austin.
mean it. Yeah, well, I've never been to Austin.
But
I
I
don't
know
think
my
it's nearly
friend
as weird as-
Caitlin moved there like last year, and because she's a comic book artist, and I guess there's like a comic book
Oh,
community.
I can believe that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
in like Darkhurst is Wisconsin, but so she moved there. But I've always heard that it's like Portland's like Rochester. It's like I've heard. Well, that's why'd you call any like thing Rochester too? That's
Rochester 2.0. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that, but I will say, like, I grew up in the desert. Most of Oregon is a desert, and
so I thought it was like woods and fishing and all that
oh, like
stuff.
yeah, there's woods for sure, but like a high desert, so a high elevation desert. There's still like we still
Really?
get snow and rain, and there's deserts and stuff, but like or not deserts, but forests and things like that. But it's just like not humid in the summer, and there's no bugs in the summer. That's the difference. So we're on the same latitude as
Yeah,
here,
I mean, I know
so.
the horror stories. Like when I was in Minnesota, I saw bugs that could take your car away.
Oh God.
I played in Prescott, Arizona, and it snowed up there because that's high.
Oh yeah, Prescott.
high,
Yeah. I've been
Because
there.
otherwise, the thing I've heard like about Arizona is
It is hot, man. Yeah, well, in the mid to southern part, but yeah, there's high elevation deserts all over the West Coast, and especially like I went to school in Utah for my undergrad, and like that is also a high elevation desert, and I miss it. I really do. I mean, that's what I'm born and raised on. But I will say it's taken me 3 years, but I'm now used to Rochester summers. I'm not used to the bugs still, but I can deal with the humidity.
I had the good
so.
time. My friend came
Right.
up to play from Nashville, and she like did a Zoom with us. So she came up here, and the first thing she says to me is like, "Rob, you're right. It's fucking cold." It's like when it was like 30 here.
Yeah, you're like,
she
"Oh, it's
stayed in-
tropical."
She drove, so she stayed in Erie, and all she did was complain about the weather the whole
Oh yeah, I
time.
don't blame her though. Like after being in Nashville for so long, it's so temperate.
Well, she's both from England, so she should
Oh,
know.
what?
But, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Yeah, that's.
But
funny.
I think we all draw what we know, though. Like, so if I was going to go to a city, like when I went to Ottawa, saw that great jazz fest with that known jazz band Stone Temple Pilots.
I love
But
those guys.
yeah, but Jazz Fest.
Jazz fest
Yeah,
is
well,
wild.
When I parked downtown Ottawa,
Their
I'll tell you,
arrangements are pretty out there. Their time signatures and stuff.
Greg
are
will
pretty
defend
good.
anybody like that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
they're
agree.
jazzy in the respect that they go outside
You
the
say
box.
Captain Beefheart is too. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But like downtown Ottawa, like if you go by the water, it's like built along the water. That no, but if you park downtown Ottawa, you think you're in Rochester.
How funny. Yeah.
I heard Austin is like Rochester. If people say, I don't know.
I have no idea. I will say I've lived in a lot of different places, and Rochester is a place that I didn't expect to like be ever.
It's like
Yeah,
the
here we
Spanish
are,
Inqui-
and I really love it. Like
it's
I'm
like the
here.
Spanish
Yeah, that's good.
Inquisition.
It sucks
Nobody
me in,
expects
yeah.
to come to Rochester.
I know, yeah, but
I've
I don't know.
lived
I love it
away
here.
many
Yeah.
times, and I always feel it's like they bring me back in.
Well, it's city without a lot of the trappings of the city.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like my hometown before all the Californians moved there. Is
Yeah.
really like the
Because
difference.
I lived in L.A. for a while, and that was
Ew,
like,
I'm
oh,
sorry.
this
Still,
ain't
so
for me,
sorry for
man.
your
I'm
loss.
out.
Like-
Still wanted. I guess like he offended some Indonesian diplomat who's got a bounty on
Oh
him or
my
something.
God!
What?
I got into a fender bender
You
on
didn't
the
know you were getting
101.
into it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I got into a fender bender on the 101.
Oh, no.
I was going very slowly,
With the wrong person.
and I was looking at a map or something like a dumbass, but I bumped into this guy because we were just crawling along, and he had diplomatic plates, government plates, and his wife gets out and starts yelling and screaming, and he was pretty calm, but she was just freaking out of her mind. And so luckily it was a rented car, so I mean the rental place took care of it all, but he was an Indonesian diplomat from the
Whoa.
consulate.
So just
or
watch
something.
when you leave the Komodo dragons are out
So
here.
it's like my luck, to, you know. I-
Oh my goodness.
But in terms like now, I tried guitar, but I fretted too much trying to play. I gotcha. But now, did your parents recommend the instruments, or did they like Sally play
no.
us? Sally
They were
play
so-
us.
they
You
were
want
s-
like
yeah.
you pick what you want? Because I always say instruments for some reason, except if you're a drummer, you just hit things like Greg.
That's right.
But I
some
always
drums,
say they
damn
sort
it.
of like because we had like a nickel harpa player on. I was like,
Oh,
how?
Alyssa, yeah.
Everybody knows who.
She's like the
why?
one.
I never heard of
There's
her.
only one nickel harpa
Yeah.
player in all of Rochester, and it's Alyssa. Yes, she's great. Yeah, I
she-
dig her.
But it's like I always said, like, how does like that would be like okay, the nickel harpa. Did you like?
Yeah,
Did you
lightens the
sort of
competition.
know? Did you dabble around before you found guitar? Or did you?
Oh,
like,
man.
You said violin.
Yeah, I mean, like my parents are
Accordion?
really my parents are really supportive, and they just wanted me to like pick something I loved and would want to pursue for a while, and like just to learn music. My dad has played piano since he was like 4, and my mom, dabbled in like violin, and my brother also played other instruments, and so they just really wanted to instill at the very least appreciation for music. So I got to pick what I wanted, and
that's good.
I only took like a handful of lessons over the course of a year of guitar, and that was in high school. I don't remember, and so only in recent years, like I've picked the guitar back up, and it's been mostly just self-taught. So
I always like the option. Well, you want to try an instrument, try it. Now, if it's not your thing, don't hope nobody force you to keep doing it. Try something else.
Yeah.
You ever get like those parents? You're gonna play piano.
No, it's like, oh my god, just like if that's not for you, like not everyone is inclined towards string instruments or brass. Or
I had that.
Like,
my mom was like,
else.
"You're gonna learn to play piano." I go, "Okay, you can hear me play it." Oh, you don't have to play it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I took methods classes at school.
That, yeah.
And that does give you an appreciation of how difficult some things are.
I'm sure. The closest I ever got to playing a brass instrument though is in high school. The band teacher was like, "We really need French horn players. Sally, can you play French horn?" I'm like, I don't know, but I could try. I can't do an embouchure to save my life. So,
right.
Well, you talked about it. I know. Come on, you're just being humble, like about bad songs and stuff. When did you get started writing and everything?
When I was in middle school, my best friend was like, "Sally, let's be like Taylor Swift and write songs." And so, so we started writing songs together. And there's a lot of bad songs. I do have one song I wrote when I was 14 that like I would actually say is pretty good, and I'm like actually surprised. But that was the only one that survived that whole period of time from middle school through high school. I did some songwriting just as a hobby in college every now and then I went years without writing anything. And then like I got to Rochester, and in that first year of my degree, I started writing a ton of songs. I was not happy with where I was with my degree and my career. I was not happy in this. I was in unfortunately an abusive relationship at the time, and so like. Unfortunate to go through it, but also a lot of great songwriting material came out of it.
Right.
And then we all know what happened March 2020, and so like I just decided to.
We don't use that word.
We don't. That's why I said
giant bees invaded.
The killer bees arrived. But anyway, no, I everything. All the classes went on Zoom, and it's a performance degree, so like I didn't give a shit about these classes anymore. I was like, I can't sing in front of anyone anymore, so like I would wake up at 10 a.m. I'd like put my computer on like with the Zoom in the background, mute myself, and turn off my camera. I wouldn't pay attention to class, and I would instead be like researching how to record and like futzing around with my microphone and like because I spent 10 years learning how to sing without a microphone, and so all this recording equipment is like very foreign. I had no idea how to
do that.
And so I was like, I have all these songs, and like music, at least classical music, is like really dying right now for the foreseeable future. So I might as well like figure out a way to like make music enjoyable for me again, because I was really hating singing, and I felt like Eastman made me feel and think I was a bad singer because I wasn't a favorite in the program, and I wasn't someone getting picked for things and like doing like getting kudos or anything. I was just like, oh yeah, you're here you're just here because you're paying us. Like that's what I felt like. I hated it, and so I'm really glad I got out of that situation and rekindled a love of music by like just diving into an aspect of music I had never gone.
Sometimes you're too much of an individual too.
I got some of that when I was at Nazareth a little bit. Like, well, you'd be good on drum set, but I don't know if you'd make it. And so, classical thing, or it's like, okay, so that's what I'll concentrate on, because that's all I'm really here for anyway.
Yeah, and like do what you're do what you're good at, and strengthen your strengths.
It should be fun in a way too. You should enjoy it, especially because you have to put so much work in. If it's like work, it's called playing.
It should be exactly. I mean, like now, I mean, I perform, I record, I teach private voice lessons to kind of keep my vocal chops up. But like, it's been really nice to basically work is work, but it doesn't feel like a slog. Right. It's just like it's enjoyable, and I know that it's enriching in so many ways for myself and the people I get to work with.
Well, Sunny Sweeney was just in town. She told this story about she's on Willie Nelson's channel on Sirius. Cool. And I guess what happened, Loretta Lynn broke a kneecap.
Oh, damn.
And she filled in for her. Loretta Lynn called her up. And she's like, hey, darling, thanks a lot. She's talked about songwriting. All she said, magic words, write what you know. Yeah, so Sonny would joke and say, that's why all my songs are about alcoholism and bad relationships.
Yeah.
But that's I think it's two things. It's write what you know and write what you see.
Yeah, I think that's any, not just songwriting, that's like any writer, like any author will tell you that too. Write what you know, unless you're like very, very well researched.
Yeah, or like, okay, if you read,
Is that what Hemingway wrote about drunks? I don't know.
Science. I mean, some writers go really overboard. They'll have stacks of books trying for the accuracy, but like you'll find like sci-fi, horror. It's all allegories about like what. Like I asked Anne Rice one time when she was in town.
Yeah.
That is vampirism like an allegory for addiction? Because it seems like that. It's because I know, like, hey, that's pretty much.
Oh, that's interesting. I never
what it
would have
was.
thought that.
She thought it was a good point. She gave me a picture of her with her German Shepherd, even so.
Very cool. So
Damn.
what about?
I would have loved. Just 1 second. I would have loved to say, you know nothing of my work.
you know nothing about work.
What are you talking? Then security, get this guy.
Don't stroke me.
No, Greg, what we say?
Don't touch me.
Yeah. So what? No, I was just going to ask. Like, so with opera, I mean, you really must have to learn projection, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, how does that
Oh,
translate to your strength?
Do I have a story?
Yeah.
So,
Diaphragm strength and whatnot.
Okay, so let me paint the picture for you. Now, okay, well, you learn, the beauty is the human voice is so different than instruments, other instruments, as far as like frequency and tone and timbre. The very reason, like it's just an amazing phenomena that a single human can sing to a house of 3,000 people over a 100-piece orchestra and be heard. Like the human voice is an amazing instrument that's really specific in how it operates. It's the thing is we are all very capable, or I should say most people are very capable of using your airflow, using your body as an instrument to its fullest capacity in order to project to a hall that big, or bigger. Yeah, I mean, so the beauty is it has helped me out immensely in singing, not just in recording and being able to do all sorts of different styles of music, whether it's jazz, like I'll sing at weddings, I'll do pop, I'll do country, I'll do metal, whatever. It's handy, but it's even handier when you're at a 3-hour gig and your PA system shuts down in the first hour. Just like it shorts out.
I can do this.
Because of the heat. So I stood on a chair, stood on a table, stood on a chair outside, and there's 50 people, and I just like sang for two hours for the rest of the set, unmiked.
Oh, and I can tell,
cool.
I'm sure you could tell tons of stories. I've seen like friends playing with their PAs.
Oh yeah, the drums are usually the only thing that survives, you know.
Yeah, and so the thing is, like, it was too hot out. It was like 90 degrees, and for some reason my PA system was like, and I'm done.
Yeah, I've seen one of those.
I had
shows.
that happen. If it has a power sink in the back, an amplifier thing, they overheat if you don't put a fan on them.
Yeah. I've heard also certain types of guitars, like Greg Townsend has like a 61 Silvertone. The weather messes with it massively.
Yeah. Well, I had my
it's only a piece of wood,
and so I don't know what happened. I think it was just it worked fine after that. I think it was honestly something to do with the venue.
Greg, have you ever seen any operas?
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I was a kid, we used to go to this thing they had in Rochester, the Opera Under the Stars. You ever?
You know what? I don't even know about that one. I know Shakespeare Under the Stars.
It was at the Highland Bowl.
Oh, very cool.
Same thing.
So every summer they would have these operas.
Do you remember any of them?
No.
No?
But I remember
Real memorable
going.
Experience.
Well, see, that's the thing. I remember going.
Though, honestly, like,
but you just don't remember the
I would think if you're a kid, what you're going to remember is they're telling the story with the costumes and stuff. That's probably what you're going to...
Well, it's like a visual... the beauty of opera is that it's a spectacle in every sense of the word. Like, it's
storytelling.
It's like, the storytelling. It takes the mundane and it makes it absolutely absurd in the best way. It's just so fun to watch. I mean, like, everything from... like, opera is just about power, sex, and money. Like, that's it. And, like that's it. When people are like, opera's so stuffy, I'm like, have you seen one? Because, like... there's a 15-minute mad scene of this woman who, like, her brother forces her to marry this guy as a family thing and tells her that the love of her life is dead when he's not. She finds out he's alive, and so she goes mad and murders her newfound husband in a fit of madness, and then walks into the ballroom covered in blood and sings just like, like what?
Nice.
That's one of my jokes. It's like, Traditional marriage.
King.
Traditional marriage. It's cool. I'll sell my daughter for 5 cows. But I had the one, like, I went to the Bolshoi, and it's like I saw somebody stole my scarf in the cloakroom.
Oh, no.
So somebody in Russia has my scarf, one of my scarves,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. I think that led to the revolution.
Yeah.
But
I hope they hung
and
themselves.
all I knew was it was like a story about the
this is
devil.
dark.
Like, somebody's making it wasn't Faust, I don't think, but it was like a deal with the devil.
Oh, yeah, that's probably
it was like
Faust.
really cool. And
It was
I saw
probably
Hansel
Faust.
and Gretel here. They played like over
Hansel
this.
and Gretel's fun.
And but what they did
so
was
magical.
they mixed the London one, like the English one, with the French one. So they talk about I see a mousey, that part.
I see. Well, what's funny? Well, it's a German opera.
Yeah.
Hansel. Well, maybe
But
there's
that's
a
the
French
weird.
version.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
they
like
must have
3
done
different
some
versions, and they
yeah.
did because one of my friends,
the
remember,
German
they
one,
asked me the questions about it, but it was really fun. And we were like, "Are they really eating the candy? Yuck!"
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that Grimm Brothers movie with Heath Ledger?
Yeah, the Brothers Grimm.
That was a great movie.
I have like a question. You probably won't. You're like we're like 1,000, and you're like. But
I'm 100 years old. You're 1,000 years old.
Do
so
you know?
different.
Do you know who studied opera? Somebody you probably know of, an actor from a show you probably watched, who
I know
had
Pat
a
Benatar
chance to study
So did
opera.
Alanis Morissette.
Yeah,
too?
had a chance to study opera. He said it was a great opportunity, but I guess he didn't take it because he had to support himself.
I had
James Doohan from Star
Oh, James.
Trek.
Wow,
Oh,
really?
That's so
Who are you
interesting.
gonna say?
I was gonna say what's his face from like on that Discovery Channel, Dirty Jobs or something like that, Hard Jobs, like where he just.
Well, I gave such great clues. You know that guy.
Yeah, guy. Yeah, that was so specific. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. He's an opera singer too. Oddly enough, still practices.
that
but he
Scottish
just,
guy
you
from
know.
Star Trek. You could have said that.
So
I would.
Scottish, Star
I
Trek.
think you would have got that one.
I'm
Well,
not
he's
a
really
Trekkie. I
Canadian,
never,
though. So
never
it's
watched
like-
Star Trek, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But like in your.
God damn it! You're supposed to turn your phone off, Rob.
His phone goes off all the
He's
time.
looking at his phone throughout the show. What are you?
Excuse me, guest. I have to go now.
The stuff we've had happen. We've had guests like bring
That's
cases
misguessed.
cases of beer in here and everything. But who are some of your influences? Because I always see, like I say, it's like a cornucopia of these songs where I pick out one thing. I always say you take a lot of elements and make it your own.
Yeah, so I mean, like I have a lot of influences. Yeah, that's something that I'm trying to like now write more songs in a more like pick a genre and write a lot of songs in that genre, and then after I've kind of worked on a body of work, now I'm working on something else.
I can't define you. What I do
Simply,
is like you're
yeah.
on the list where I say you're really good. It's like the Mighty High and Dry. They're like Americana rock.
I'd say
but
like
you're
I
like,
just say indie folk because
go
it's
see
like,
her because
I don't know.
We had
Like,
a big argument. It wasn't an argument, but I actually had a talk with Chuck Silvaggio.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, we were talking about what's folk. It's like my friend
Yeah.
Ben Morey. He just won
Depends what
the
country
best
you're in.
folk, and I
Yeah.
said, Ben, I vote for you, but I don't. You're not really. You're more alternative.
the thing about folk music, I mean, if you really want to, it's just what's come out of the ether. It's just passed down, usually oral tradition, and then you're like,
I was saying
well, that's
that I had
folk.
a
But, like,
friend
like
who-
some
yeah.
classical music could be considered folk. By
I had a
that
friend who
standard, you know?
Scarborough Fair, and she was saying to me, I messed up the lyrics. I was like, this song's like centuries old. They changed the
There's
lyrics.
so many times. It's
Go
in
like I
different
love
languages.
seeing
like,
Orange. I love to see Oranges like with Greensleeves. There was like the myth that Henry VIII wrote it.
Huh.
He was heads up above the others, like to write it
funny.
for. But they don't know. They think he wrote it, but. You go through like Whiskey in a Jar. It's supposed to be a song called "The Highwayman," or like the old blues songs,
Yeah.
Gallows Pole, and you adapt it. It's like if I said something to somebody, by the end, it's like completely. It's like, well, the
it's
purple
like
tortoise
telephone.
ran across the road.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Well, like folk music is like a game of really the long game of telephone. But I guess I have a lot of influences from a lot of places because I grew up in a very musical household. I went to music school. I listened to a lot. Like I kept work at work, so to speak. I didn't listen to opera in my free time. I listened to a lot of other things. And so like jazz, funk, 60s revival, big influence for me. And then classical music somehow weaves its way in there because it's just inherent in how I sing. I try not to sound like an opera singer who's singing folk. That's the only difference. But I got a lot of different influences. I think I'm just trying to hone
like
in
a
on
rolling.
Where do you sit on vibrato?
Yeah, what do I sit on vibrato?
Yeah, is it illegal? Is it taboo? Or what is it?
Vibrato. Okay, here's the thing about vibrato. I mean, this is coming from my teacher hat, so to speak. The vibrato is just a signal that you are singing without hindering your voice and your airflow. Like it's truly like vibrato when it's unmanufactured comes out healthfully because your voice is completely free. You can learn how to stop it and like do like ah versus ah, like learn how to stop your vibrato healthfully as well. Most people will pinch and tense their vocal cords to do that, and that's just not what you should be doing. But vibrato, I think, used as a garnish in pop music is great. If you're just singing with a goat voice, it's not great. You know, like it has its time and place.
I mean, I always thought it was like, well, if you're warbling on your note, you kind of do vibrato to kind of fudge it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's just fudging it. Vibrato shouldn't be used to like necessarily fudge the note. That would be we call that kind of vibrato a wobble, where like it's like and it's like some the older you get, opera singers, the older they get, sometimes develop a wobble, and we sometimes joke it's like, wow, that wobble's so big you can drive a truck through it. Like,
I never thought of that. But I really love ballet. I love it as an art.
It's amazing
it's awesome.
to me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's great, and I'm thinking like. You're pretty much like, it's like Logan's Run, though, isn't it? Like, by the time you're 30, you're pretty much... But, like, for opera, I was thinking, how long? Because I know my dad used to love to watch, like, Pavarotti. And can you pretty much, as long as you keep it healthy?
Yeah,
you don't...
so opera is about the long game. It's not like pop music where, like, some people will say, like, oh, you're old if you're a 30-year-old pop star.
You're only as good as your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mick Jagger, I remember Mick Jagger used to say, I won't be shaking my ass at 40. He's like, I'll skip it at 40. I'll do it when I'm 80.
Yeah, there you go. But like, no. But the thing about opera is like, about just vocal health in general. It's important to keep your voice in shape. But your voice just doesn't mature fully until your 30s or 40s. So like, technically speaking, like I'm still very, very young when it comes to the opera world. Where like I wouldn't be having a full blown career in my late 20s. Like I shouldn't. Like people would be like, oh, it's just your career is just barely starting when you're in your late 20s, and then like in your 30s and 40s, that's when your peak is, and then your 50s and 60s and 70s, like if you sometimes in your 70s, if you can keep your voice in good shape, like you can have it for the rest of your life.
So this is like, no, like Greg, he'll write like what, like I always say, he writes really good songs, but he writes like 3 a year. Do you in a way have to like? Does it just the inspiration come to you?
I think so. That's funny. So
just from being alive,
there's like different. Just from being alive, like inspiration will come to you, right? But like those kind of songs arrive and they're like a train. If you don't catch the train, it's gone.
Right.
Like and so those kind of songs are few and far between. The kind of songs that hit you and in 10 minutes it's completely written and you don't need to edit it. It's perfect. Like oh my god, it's a full song. Very rare.
Thank you for
yeah. You're like oh my god, the music. Thank you so much. The genius that has arrived. Thank you so much. But like most of the time, you have to put yourself in the way of inspiration. So like Stephen King would say, it's like you just show up every day and write. For like that's just what he would do. And like same thing for songwriters. Like Jeff Tweedy has a book about it. Like you show up every day and you write. Like that's just what you do. The Artist's Way, that book by Julie Cameron, like she'll show up every day and write. Like you have to put yourself in the way of inspiration because there's an ancient idea of what genius is. Today, we think of genius as like, oh, he's genius, she's genius, everyone's genius. Yeah. Right. Like the person themselves is a genius. No, genius, the ancient idea of what a genius is like it's a spiritual being or a supernatural spirit that meets you halfway. Like you have to show up and be there ready to write with your guitar in hand. And sometimes the spirit shows up and sometimes it doesn't. But at least you showed up and did your half of the work.
Isn't that like 90% of everything's just showing up?
Just show the hell
You know, that's a lot of... And I also think artists are a little different in the way they look at things. Like, you can look at, like, my friend Greg Townsend, he writes... He sees a sign, ATM inside. Nobody else writes the song ATM inside. He's going out, sees somebody throws a cigarette out of the car, writes the song Sparks on the Highway.
I love that song. I have an idea. That's cool.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I go on, and, like, I'm sure a lot of other artists can attest to this, too. Like, going on inspiration walks. Like, the other day I was walking, this woman was just, like... pushing aside the leaves to plant bulbs, and then I like went home and I wrote a song about like planting a garden, and it was like very metaphorical. I was like, but like
you should see the tortoises over there. Somebody's got tortoises that walks around. But Herb Smith, he wrote a song about like walking down like a path, and he said, okay, when you hear the one thing, it's the chipmunks going by.
Yeah.
So that's how you
text
do it.
painting.
Text painting. Like, yeah.
But Greg
and, like,
writes songs about like just bang your head or whatever.
Well, I did write a bunch of songs after breaking up with somebody. It is very good inspiration.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I wrote like 10, 15 songs on
heartbreak is also not only a great inspiration, but it's a great way to process it, too. Like, whatever you're going through, it's a way to process what you're going through.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, like mainly with like your parents. Because I remember when I was in grammar school, back when they had all these great programs, we used to go to the Eastman, and they'd have these things for kids where they'd introduce the orchestra and show you what's what, and then, you know, that thing with the Hopper Under the Stars. And I was like, you know, you're exposed to the stuff whether you realize it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't like it, your brain shuts it off. But if you do like it, your brain internalizes it, and then you run with it. And then all of a sudden, you're like, man, I like that. That's the thing that's making sense to me. So, you know what I mean? And that's the thing is, kids need to be exposed to lots of things.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sports. Okay, this ain't for me. Oh, I love sports. It depends. But you should at least try stuff and be exposed to things instead of everybody now, cut this, cut that, you know, cut the arts, cut this, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's not right.
Yeah, I agree with that, and that's something I'm very grateful for, is that my parents just, like, let me soak up whatever it was that I was interested in. They didn't ban any books or ban any instruments.
I was always lucky about that.
Yeah, right?
That's why I had a reading level, like, over, like, almost like last year in high school when I was in 3rd grade, because they let me read anything.
Yeah. Well, but, like, kids are sponges.
Yeah,
if you,
it was like I stuck at a
the
desk by myself during... Have you ever had anybody come up to you after a show, say how much a song touched them and been completely wrong about what it's been about?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, what's funny is, like, I have a friend who, like, will ask me, like, so what's this song about? I'm like, I don't know, man, honestly. And like, or like I'll be like, it's kind of about this. It was inspired by this. Honestly, the rest of it is up to you. And he's like, I hate that answer. Like, I hate that it's up to interpretation. And then I have other friends who are like coming up with interpretations where I was like, they're like, okay, it means this, and this song that you wrote is like this, and I definitely identify with this and that and the other because of this in my life. I was like, wow, those are ideas that I'd never had. Like, I should write a song inspired by your interpretation.
Well, it meant that to them, obviously.
I had my friend playing piano. My friend playing piano, and I went up afterwards. I'm like, you play Autumn Leaves? It was really good. I was like, I know what I played. But now we have was this your first album? My Hands Are on Fire?
That is my first and so far only album, and that was my quarantine project. That was my.
How did this come about?
That came about when I dropped out. When I dropped out of Eastman, I started working. Some of those songs were recorded on a dinky, like, Blue Yeti USB mic.
I knew that when I was listening to it.
Yeah. You knew it?
No.
Okay. I was like, that's bullshit.
It sounds
all
like a
sounds
big
good. What are you
triola.
talking about?
It's like,
but I just thank you very much. Yeah, my friend took those, and I if anything, it was a big effort of just, like, seeing how I could take all these songs that were just coming out of me at the time, like, because it was such a transformational period in my life, going after this dream of being an opera singer for 10 years and then totally doing a 180 and being like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Do they have, like, a theme to it like that? I don't know. I could barely understand your vocal.
Oh,
that's a cool dress.
Like, if anything, like,
Greg likes your dress.
Okay, thank you. I like my dress too. If anything, again, up to interpretation. I guess it's just about. It's like, for me, it's a time capsule of that period of my life. Those songs mean certain things to me because they were written in a very short time period. But and they also stylistically are all over the map. It's very raw.
Yeah, I keep saying that about seeing you.
I think if anything, for that debut album, that's kind of the purpose of a debut album or, like, a first time project, is like, you gotta just, like, have fun and make it whatever. And when I didn't have an audience, so I could do whatever the hell I wanted. Like, who the hell am I pleasing? Myself, and that's it. Like, I'm just gonna do what I want and make music that I love.
I think what you do is, like, for pure art, you just do your best in what you want to do, and you hope it resonates with people.
Totally. And so far,
and otherwise, you can tell. I always could tell, like, you see some bands play, like I've seen some, and they're just going through the motions for the money, and then I see the passion.
Yeah.
The different. Now you're doing. I saw that video for Butterflies. How was it? Like, were you dancing around in the sand?
Yeah. No, that was.
I would, like, falling on my face, like a hermit crab when it came out Shakespeare.
No. God, if anything, those were fun. Those were, like, summertime projects. I had never done, like, music, like, serious music videos before, and I was like, I think I need to add the visual element to what I'm doing now, especially since, like, I'm more established and I have more, like, a bigger audience than I had when I first had the album come out. So, and now people see your music before they hear it. So it's like, I want to be able to have a visual element that gets people excited about, like, oh, I want to follow this person. And
it's hard these days because that's
stuff.
like we try to get these out as soon as we do them, because what happens is, like, if you do a show, Greg, or you do a show, you have to keep drilling it in because people's attention spans are.
Oh my God!
I have my calendar. I have my calendar all right. Then it's like, who the hell's playing? I can't read this.
Yeah, but, like, you have to repeat yourself at least 12 times before someone.
You feel like you're, like, doing it too much, but No, people have that attention span. It's like 2 weeks, not even.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll talk to you. Oh, look, there's a chip.
Yeah. 2 weeks is 2 minutes. Like, yeah.
And I think
like,
it's too much overload now. I think that's the thing. There's just so much, like, everything out.
Overloaded. And I'm overloaded. Honestly,
I had the thing. I was out one time at the
anymore.
gatehouse one time. We're having dinner, and we're looking. It's like, and we don't want to nose in on it, but you can't help it. You look. There's this table. They're all texting each other right at the table.
Oh, that's so sad.
It is.
That's so sad.
That's like answering a pop-up ad and thinking, man, if I buy something from the site, they'll quit bugging me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I'll go out. Like, I like to go for long walks. I don't take my phone and just be out. It's like you're in the twilight zone. Nothing's going to bother you. Nothing. Not if you're anything else. So
if anything, like it's a really social media is the bane and the blessing of my existence when it comes to my career, because it's helped me get a much larger fan base and actually be able to travel and do music in other cities where I know no one, and like I just kind of meet people through Instagram or Facebook and be like, hey, can I play with you? Can I stay at your house? Can we like tour together? Whatever it is. And I go and I end up having a really amazing networking experience because of social media. But at the same time, it's also like, wow, you have to keep up with it in order for the algorithm to be in your favor. We're all becoming slaves to computers in that way, where computers are ruling how we interact with each other and like how often people see our content or see what we're doing.
And it's caused some negative stuff too. All the freaks that are out there and the cowards that say bad stuff.
And then also people, unfortunately killing themselves and like cyberbullying and things like that too.
My idea on that is like, if I see anybody going up there, they got the guts to perform, do it, bravo. It might not be my cup of tea, but I'm not criticizing.
Yeah.
I can't do it. That's why I do this stupid show.
I will say though, I'm amazed. It took a while. But from the earliest Microsoft, Bill Gates stuff, I mean, I always joke about this. I say Bill Gates has ruined the world. But what I mean by that is kind of like what you're saying, Sally. But the thing is, think what they did. These guys, Steve Jobs and all those guys, we're going to connect the world. We're going to connect, and they did.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, that's a Herculean task, but they did it.
You know what I love, too? Like, I don't road trip as much anymore, especially after the C word in 2020. But I would, like, take trips, like, out to Weedsport, Ithaca, see my friends play. I would like to observe with somebody I know who I've seen play many times, the response for people who've never heard them. I just like the look on the faces.
Honestly, that's, like, been something that surprises me every time, because sometimes these places that I play at that, like, people will come out and have seen me multiple times, or friends come out. It's a very much like a really chill, like, oh yeah, cool, it sounds great, Sal. Like
I think you said when I was out there, it's like, you look like you're falling asleep.
Yeah, I like, well,
it wasn't your music.
No, I was like, everyone was so exhausted. It was also like 100 degrees outside. But I was at a brewery for the first time out in Geneva a couple weeks ago, and it was just such a warm reception. No one had heard of me there, and I actually had the most fun with audiences who have never heard me, because I get to just like create this persona of like, here, you never heard me. Let's just make it extra. Like, let's make this like, extra Sally Louise times 10 today.
You come out like dressed in like a guar or something.
like covered in, I don't know, like some crazy colors and makeup and no, I come out and I just amp up my personality a lot, and that's it, and it's great. With my friends in the audience, I can't necessarily do that. I can, but they'll be like, that was ingenuine. Like, what are you doing? Like, we know the real you. Yeah, but I don't know. It's all part of the act, I guess. Not to say that I'm not a genuine, authentic person on stage, but it is
very much.
It's a personality.
But you have to be a performer, and that's the whole thing.
I always say that. Yeah. Like, I tell people, I say like they're naturals up there, and I've like told some people like, I don't even know what I do up there. Yeah. No, you're natural.
It's so funny. Well, like, okay, it was this summer I got to open for Chris Isaak, and I got to be up close and personal with his
I have to admit, is Chris? You're gonna kill me on this one. His Christmas album's great.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard his Christmas album. I'm Jewish.
Pleasure.
I don't really care.
I'm like a pagan, but I like holiday albums.
Well, you have a literal Christmas sweater on, but like,
crap, I do. Well, Brian Wilson.
Where was that?
It's November.
This 6th. Was actually he played. This is when he played. At the auditorium. He was great, except he walked off stage one time because he was here at the Frowns.
Where was that gig?
That was beginning of August this summer at Point of the Bluff, and it was it was my first time opening for such a large act, and to be close with close and personal with his crew and with the band, and I got to meet him and talk to him a few times throughout the afternoon, and it was really amazing because like to talk to them, they're all just like, kind of a boys club, good old boys club. They're just talking shit and hanging out, and it was super easy to talk to them, and joke around and shoot the shit. And then they went on stage, so I finished my act, talked with them for a bit. Then I saw them play, and they were just telling these stories, and I go off stage and I ask them about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's a bunch of guy. This is just all entertainment. None of the stories are true." Or they're like twisting the truth. They'll take a grain of truth, and then they'll twist it a bit to make it way more entertaining.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's what I do to a certain extent. I,
I've
of course,
heard
can't
this
tell
even,
these,
I'll have, friends tell stories about college.
Yeah.
And it's become, remember that one time we ran from, the security because we had the keg?
Yeah.
It turns into, a cross-country chase.
Yeah, it's mythological. That's kind of the beauty of it. Bob Dylan takes a lot of that without having to say anything. He just proliferates a lot of mysterious ideas and stories about himself, and people play along with it. And it's
he's I read a book of his interviews, and I think if you met him and really knew him or friends, he'd be a really cool dude.
Oh yeah.
But I think he likes to play with you.
Oh yeah,
the way he talks
he has
about
the
stuff.
whole magnifying glass of the world on him.
Yeah,
and
he just tries to play a
good point.
character. But the last time I saw him play, he was great too, and I've seen when he's not been great, so I probably won't see him again.
I saw him last year, and it was just very powerful in his vocal performance.
Now
it's
he
really
played.
cool.
I heard. I guess he can't play guitar anymore.
No,
because,
only piano.
So he played keyboard. He got up a little.
Yeah, he only got out from behind the
He
upright.
did Scarlet
twice.
Street.
Yeah, but it was just if anything, to go back to the personality on stage, he has 60 plus years of a career behind him, and he doesn't have to, in his early career he just created that mystery, and that was the foundation for it all. Not that I'm out here trying to create mystery for myself.
Yes, you are.
It's just oh yes, who am
Well,
I? It's more you just have to take everything you take from a performer with a grain of salt. They're showing you what they want to show you, and that's that. You don't know who they actually are.
I could tell you this because my
Yeah.
brother knew the Cramps. He knew Jeffrey Lee Pierce from Gun Club, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Off stage, you see the Cramps. They're crazy. Lux cutting himself up.
Jesus Christ.
It's humble, quiet, shy. It's a performance, and I use drag queens as an example a lot because every drag queen I've known that's like a superhero. It's they're flamboyant. You know them off stage.
They're super chill. Yeah. I mean, that's just in general. Yeah.
It is though.
Yeah,
but this has been great. So we could go on for 5 hours.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting. Great.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's
guys.
been really cool, but we are a really big treat. No, it's not Greg juggling.
What?
Yeah, oh my god! Wow.
Oh no,
Yeah,
what's
she's
coming up?
very
What's coming up? I know we just had Alanis Willpower's last show, and that went really good.
It did. We had a lot of old friends and fans come, and Frank DeBlaze was there, and Steve Pizzuto from Five Head, he made it. And we had some other people that I hadn't seen in a while.
Pizzuto says he's going to be on the show soon. He better come on.
I'll hustle on that one. But we had a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while, which I was glad that Paul made it. Paul and his wife made it. But anyway, yeah, it was great. And, we did well, and the people were dancing a lot, which is always a good... For me, that always makes me feel good.
I'm sorry when I come to your shows, I'm not doing that.
Because I always feel like as a guy providing the groove or whatever.
And I think
if
Sally
I can
would
get
be
people
like,
up dancing,
Sally
it
would
makes me
be
feel
like,
good.
what the hell are they dancing to this song for?
I know. Well, yeah, some people just like to move around to anything. So, I mean, there is that, but...
Unless you're
But it
at
was
the
good.
bug jar and some bands, they start slam dancing, then in the back room, forget that. See the moshing during your songs, what?
It went good. It was bittersweet, but...
You know what it is? I think, sometimes it just... Things run their course, with bands, not with solo performers. This is actually one last question I'll ask you, too, because I actually asked Lily Wynn with this. It's this is funny. It's okay, do you prefer... Okay, can you collaborate or you prefer yourself? She's like, no, I just want to work myself. Do you prefer just doing your own stuff or collaborating?
As of now, I've just been a solo artist because it was convenient, especially during the pandemic. But I actually just started, literally last night had our first band practice with the people who are now part of my band. So.
You're in Rochester, so you have to at least be in 5 bands. It's Rochester.
No. It's so funny because they're I'll have people come up and oh, Sally, Sally Louise, so how's this project going? I'm it's not a project, it's my life's work.
I know.
It's literally who I am. It's my real name. I'm
That's
this is
become
not a
a
project.
euphemism.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say my
this
band.
is my project. Are you kidding me? This is who I am.
No, and you are. You're a true artist. You're, your art's pure. It comes from you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And so, but talk about that. Just buttering you up so you do a good song.
Jesus. Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, I'm in many bands only because I like to play different kinds of music, and I don't want to be tied down to one thing.
Yeah.
So I look for different things where I can show that I like this and I like that.
Yeah.
So
waiting on that polka band.
Waiting on that polka band.
But what are you going to pick something? Whatever you want to play, you can play.
Oh yeah, I'll play something. I need to think about what I want to play. Actually, I haven't thought about it yet.
Drama! Nobody can take
no one
this.
knows. Oh,
But we'll be right back after this.
So, last thing though, where are you playing? What's coming up?
What's coming up? Oh, okay.
And how can we get hold of you on this?
Yeah,
so funny media. And such.
If you'd like to help the humans win against the algorithm, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, my website, all Sally Louise Sings, SallyLouiseSings.com, and on YouTube as well. Same handle. Sally
Neato Halloween costumes I saw in your story.
Oh God, Jesus Christ! Yeah, those are all improvised. I hate Halloween. If I'm being completely honest,
I don't wear them. I'm at the point I had to walk in. I had to do a couple things. I'm not dressing.
Yeah,
up.
no. Well, what's funny is I had a Halloween masquerade at the Eastman House for the cocktail revival that I was doing. So one of those costumes was actually for a gala, and it wasn't really a costume. But I have a jazz. I'm a part of a jazz duo. I have a show with Gordon Webster at the Daily Refresher on Thursday, November 17th, 7 to 9.
Awesome. Ooh, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to come.
Go, happy birthday. Yeah, we'll sing happy birthday to you in a very jazzy way.
There you go.
And then the next day I'm at Noble Shepherd Brewing, and then the next day after that I'm opening for Smilo and the Ghost at Geneseo Jam Kitchen. And,
Chuck, I actually, now I'm going to say something. I'm going to say I'm not going because every time I do, something bad happens.
Oh, no, okay,
so,
stay
unquote,
away.
Literally, Buzzo was going to play. I'm getting in my car, 40-minute drive. He had to postpone. Literally 15 minutes, I'd have to go. Andy
Did
played.
his robe get dirty? What happened?
I don't know what happened. But then, Andy played. It was like the winter storm from the apocalypse.
Yeah.
So,
God, yeah. Well, I got stuck in that winter storm. That's when I got my snow. I
don't think we'll hear a song about snow, but she can play with us.
Like I said, I'll play whatever I want.
Thanks
but
again,
thank you.
Sally.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. As always,
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah. This is an unreleased tune. It's called "All He Does Is Smile." Tinge the corners of my mind, hearts on lock, 'cause we're in time. Dress my body head to toe, mind rewind and just let go. I told my friends that we're in time. There's no playing games when you're away. No, we're just better together in every way. What you're staring at, all he does is smile. Call me baby again. For a minute, just pretend that we're huddled in a room, cozy as can be, before you even know it, we're tangled like a tree. Baby, 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 you sing to me. I told my friends that we're in time, yeah. Now we are having the time of our lives. There's no playing games when you're away. No, we're just better together in every way. What you're staring at, all he does is smile. Oh, to be feeling so lovely, sweeter than sugar all the time. Oh, my pockets are overflowing from every time you call me a dime. I told my friends that we were in time, and we are having the time of our lives. There's no playing games when you're away. No, we're just
you're staring at. All he does is smile. No, 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 there's no playing games when you're away. No, we just put it together in every way. What you're staring at.